Hey everyone, we are just showing our congratulations and thanks for you for joining the Patreon community. I'm still getting used to being in front of the camera as much as we are, but it's a process. Obviously, Ryan, you're used to being in front of the camera all day, so
hmm
what can you do? But just a couple things. As people post comments to the Patreon, we are taking notes.
hmm
Some of the larger questions, we're going to make video responses. I'm actually going to do some video responses with my wife. She's going to be off camera, but you can still hear her voice because a lot of this information is helpful if you actually hear a couple explain how this works in the real world. Because especially when it's people ask a lot of questions like, where do you find high quality people? I
hmm
know how I find high quality guys that I want to network with. And I know that process.
hmm
And my wife and women in general have a process as well. I always go back to if you watch the movie Mean Girls and you see the movie and you see how cliques start,
Yeah.
it's this is so real. This does not change with adulthood. Now, one of the things that's never taught is that it doesn't change. So, like me and you, when we're talking to a guy or we meet a guy at a conference or whatever, what are some of the things we do to decide if we're going to let him into some of our selective circles?
I mean, can they hold a conversation? Do they know what they're talking about? Do I actually have their attention? Are they interested in making steps to move forward, either in a business relationship, get to know more about you, or are they only just trying to pitch and sell who they are? So that tells me how confident they are, how secure they are, and what their whole goal is of talking to me in the beginning. We can figure it out in the first couple of minutes.
Absolutely. And then there's different levels of friendship. So there's
Mm,
friends that we can all go to the movies and eat something with, but I wouldn't take them on an investment party. I
mm,
wouldn't take them on an overnight excursion to Puerto Rico.
mhm,
So one of the things that we want to really stress is it's no different than if you ever partied in college. There are some people that are allowed in the regular party, and how do you get to the after party? And many times it's not a secret code, it's knowledge. Like when I was talking to my mom, when I was talking to my wife, when I was talking to a lot of her married friends as well, people that are all part of our friend group, they run women through these tests and ask them certain questions. And based on their answers, they make an evaluation on are you going to be coming, could they see them joining the circle of people around us where people aren't complaining about their significant others. They're living lives they're genuinely proud of.
mm,
And a lot of times, especially if we're not receiving coaching or counseling, when we're talking to people, we're not we're not cognizant that we're not giving them the best version of ourselves. It's a
mhm,
lot of times where if we're not used to having real conversations with people, we end up speaking to someone and we're just pouring out all of our problems.
mhm.
This happened to me. I had this problem with my ex-boyfriend. I had this. And even if people don't say it to your face, often people look at problems as contagious.
hmm
So we might separate ourselves from our problems, but when we're talking to people, especially people who really don't know us, they put all those problems and that person together. And they say, "Oh, we're not bringing that person over here." We have there's might be a great gathering with a bunch of single good husbands. When I say husbands, I mean guys that want to become husbands. In my eyes, there's only two types of people. And when it comes to men, there are people that are husbands and want the responsibility of a family, and there's people who don't. If
hmm
whatever side of the fence you want to be on, that's fine. I just need to know which side you're on. And the
hmm
people that are serious about becoming husbands, they get married. And they get married because it's the most important thing for them, aside from if they're religious or not. So I would
hmm
I would expect for this person to be married in under 3 years. If they have resources, probably make it less than a year. What are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
I'd agree with that. And a lot of what you've been talking about, Terrence, goes into what we're trying to do on the Patreon. A lot of people are gate kept from moving forward into what
Mhm.
you call the after party by what they talk about. But even if we take out aside talking about the negative, even when you're talking about the positive, you're mostly evaluated by your actions. So if I told somebody who's in business, I want to be a businessman, hey, I'm interested in this, I think it's cool, they are then going to ask the next steps of what have you done about it? And that's what you're evaluated on. And I could talk all day, but if I don't even have a thing to show that I'm attempting or moving forward even slowly on my own, the people that might want me to enter those circles, whether business or otherwise, are not going to want to let me in because people who talk like that end up being dangerous or leeching off everybody else. And so we may not all be like that, but that's how it's seen from somebody who doesn't know you. So this Patreon is trying to give you guys an understanding of what you can do to take those steps so that even when you're not perfect, and even though you may still have some things to work on, it's what gets your foot in the door and it's what keeps you moving forward. The ability to show somebody that you are becoming the better person, that you are doing something about it, and how to display your worth. That is the biggest key is sometimes we are unable or unsure. We just don't know the knowledge of how to display our worth to somebody else.
Exactly, because we got to think people that are living good lives
Hmm.
have got that to that point by basically telling 98 to 99% of the people around them no.
Hmm.
They said no to this, they said no to that. When somebody is trying to push them around in a sales meeting, they say no. To the people out there that they might have grown up with that were bad influence, they eventually said no to that person. So these individuals, their profile is often very risk adverse. They would rather cut ties and run than bring a potential problem into their life.
Hmm.
So we are not often given the benefit of the doubt. Something as simple like with men, if somebody says, "Hey, I want to learn about business," and I say, "Okay, here's an article that came out last week about the top 15 investments over the last 100 years. Tell me what you think about it." If I contact this guy a week later and he hasn't read it, he's done.
Hmm.
You're not serious. So whatever words he might say after that, I've already put him in the category of a man who's not serious. Now, he can get out of that category if he puts in that work. And I find out that he is a man of his word after a while.
Hmm.
But it's that initial step, that initial test that the person has to go through. And there's all these different tests because all forms of human communication, especially when we start putting people in our life, is an interview.
Hmm.
The interview for work is one level, but then the interview for friendship is another level, just like the interview for a long-term relationship, whether it's friendship or romantic. And if we're not taught about these levels, if we're not taught about these qualifiers and disqualifiers, we're often trying to speak a language we don't understand. And we might be not receiving the relationship signals, and we might not be receiving the qualities of relationships we want because we're literally speaking a different language than the other person that's looking for love.
I think we've pretty much summarized what our entire Patreon is about. So
Good point.
in closing, right, one of the reasons why we do this is because we think that relationships are one of the most important things to us as human beings, and we kind of need good relationships to survive, to be honest. We can't do anything on our own, nor have we done anything ever completely on our own. And
Absolutely.
those relationships require a set of standards and an ability to communicate and then some form of relationship building. Like, how do you actually get to know somebody and get closer together? And that goes for friends, that goes for family, that goes for your business partners. It covers any type of relationship that you're trying to get into. So if we don't have those standards and we don't know how to evaluate somebody and we don't know how to communicate with them, we can't have good relationships. And that's really what we're here to teach is how to put those things into practice.
Absolutely. So going forward, now me and you, we have our event on Saturday for sociopaths versus real relationships. I have a interview with a very, very good relationship counselor on Wednesday. I'm going to be posting a video in the next couple days of just me and my wife talking about relationships for 10 to 15 minutes. She's going to be off camera, but you can still hear her. And that's about it. Is there any other content you see yourself posting? I mean, I'm going to be posting on the Patreon every day, whether it's a
Mhm.
quote, whether it's an article that I've written about, or maybe a short video about different concepts. I just want to make sure that as long as the community is growing and active, then I will definitely be active on it.
Yeah, so coming from a very competitive background, I used to play sports and I
Yeah.
played soccer at the Olympic development program level, which is highly competitive. And what got me to that level and got me my success in college and got me my success in my career is something that I don't think a lot of people quite understand, which is what is the correct mindset? And so I see a lot of positivity in the comments. I see a lot of positivity with the people that I work with. But if we adjust, just changing the target a little bit of where we're putting that positivity and what we're focusing on, we're going to get so much more out of what we're doing. And so, what I would like to post, I'm going to post a video soon talking about that mindset and where we should be focusing our attention to get the most out of our time and our struggle through this process.
Absolutely. So, just stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of content posted. I mean, I myself have already written hundreds of articles, Ryan. I know you've written tons, and a lot of these concepts are better on camera. So we're going to be talking about a lot of this stuff on camera, and just stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun here. It's amazing I couldn't do this for the government. Like I wanted to do this for the government for years, and there just wasn't any interest in teaching the public these profiling techniques and these human development techniques that we learned. It's just
Yeah.
it blew my mind that we people focus so much on the end results of negative behavior and problematic connections instead of fixing it from the beginning. Drove me crazy. I'm so glad I'm gone.
If you fix the problem from the source, you've gotten rid of a ton of jobs and have to move people into a completely new field.
You
So so we always got to ask ourselves, because whether it was the government, what you were doing, or it's the person in front of us, is what is their ulterior motive and how does it help them versus how does it help me? So Terrence and I love to focus on how it helps people, how it actually helps people, because everyone's always got problems. If we can help make your lives better, then we're fulfilling a purpose in life and a meaning to spread that knowledge, and the world becomes a better place when the people we help become better and achieve their goals. And there's no there's no stop to that, because when you get better, you can set your sights on higher goals. And so it's continuous improvement and everybody benefits from it.
absolutely. And the other great thing about it, it's like personal training or working out.
Hmm.
There's no such thing as perfection. We're constantly getting better. And
Yeah.
so, as long as we're all constantly getting better, there will always be more content. There'll always be more information because there's no endpoint to how much better and reliable and relaxing kind of person in life you can live. So, all right. With that said, take care. We'll see you in the comments section soon.
See you guys.